And welcome inside the Backstage Pass, of course, post Thanksgiving, and more shows continuing throughout the week here, of course, on KKTC 99.9 True Country and KXXY out of Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado, out there too as well. You can also hit us up at the sportsguys podcast.com and out there too at hightidecountry.net, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, out there at Honky Tonk, Texas. And I tell you what, we love to change it up because mostly we do country. Today we're going to go a little bit on the rock side, heavy metal, and one of the top groups out there too. And joining us here with the group Bad Wolves is one of the members there, Doc Coyle, joining us here on the show. Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Just breezing through. We're on tour with Bush right now, the almighty, legendary Bush, and our friends in Eve Under Fire, and we're just just going across the country right now. We're right in Iowa right now, a little off date in Sioux City, and then we pick up with Bush again tomorrow in Omaha. So it's been a great tour.
Let's dive into this album. You guys are no strangers to this heavy metal side of things, but this album is creating a lot of good reviews. Just came out November 3rd, called Die About It, which is a lot of great songs in there, including that title track. And this is y'all's fourth studio album, which is fantastic. I love the song Legends Never Die. Talk about just how, again, it's staying on top in the industry is hard in anything you do out there, but you guys continue to change the landscape of heavy metal and do it your way, the Bad Wolves way, and put out some great music.
Yeah, we just felt compelled, after the last record. That was our first album with DL, our new singer. And we hit the road really hard, but those songs had been around for a long time, and we felt ready to kind of move on to the next thing. So pretty much like last year, we started writing anytime we had any time off. We'd get in the studio, work on stuff, and there was a real thrust, creative thrust to do something that felt as authentic as possible, and something that there's a lot of stuff we need to get off our chest as a band, and kind of just get to like what we want to do. Don't worry about what people want from us. Mm-hmm. Let's do what we want to do. And so like a statement kind of had to be made. So I think everyone, once everything was done, everyone felt like we had something that was really powerful, something we really believed in. And that's kind of when you put a record out and you start hitting the road. That's kind of what you're doing. You're just like you're presenting, you're going out there and giving the people like, hey, here's this thing we worked on, here's this thing we believe in, and we're sharing it with you. And that's a big part of the process.
Yeah, when you get into something like that too, of course, you want every song to send that message out there to resonate with somebody, to have great storytelling, which you guys' music really does. And I've been with you guys on the ride with Better Noise, of course, and go back to that Disobey album too, which you guys really came on strong there with a song like Zombie, which is fantastic. And just love that particular song out there too, and how that was a remake, I believe, of the Cranberries back in the 90s when Zombie, that went viral for you guys, and y'all put out a fantastic album like Disobey. Kind of give me some of those highs out there when you guys are putting out something like that, something goes viral. I mean, you get your name out there, fans just flock to the music, and there were a lot of great songs on that Disobey album, right?
Yeah, man, it was a whirlwind, to be honest. that I've never experienced anything like that, to have something kind of become a global phenomenon to a certain degree. And it was just, it was hard to process at the time, because in some ways you were really excited about everything that was going on. But at the same time, it was also, surrounded by this tragedy, of this legendary vocalist losing her life. And so everything that was kind of good that was happening for the band also felt very bittersweet, like it was attached to this kind of just awful situation, but the truth was, it gave us a huge leg up in terms of having something that people knew. Everyone pretty much knew the song, and it blew up, and it allowed a lot of open doors to open very quickly for us. But we still had to go out and just grind and work as a band. We toured about a year straight on that album. Went to Australia, went to Europe, did the States a bunch of times, went to Canada, and it was a while. It was kind of by the time you didn't even know what was happening, and the next you knew, a year had passed, and we were working on the next album. So it was definitely a wild time. It's something I'll definitely never forget. As far as having something that kind of hits like that, but it is a double-edged sword. When you're kind of known for a cover song, it's it helps you, but it also hurts you in that the song is more famous than the band. And so a lot of people know the song, but they're not going to come to a Bad Wolves show. Maybe they're not going to come buy a t-shirt or, buy a VIP and stuff. So it provides different challenges, as a band, figuring out different ways to kind of connect because we're a pretty heavy band, and that's a very mainstream song. So kind of being able to kind of tie those things together has been something. It's been a challenge kind of since the beginning of the band, but it's, as I say, it's better to be known for something than nothing. But subsequently, we've had 4 other number one active rock singles. We've had several other singles go gold. So it's not, thankfully we're not a one-hit wonder. We're definitely a several-hit wonder, but it is something that looms large over the band's career for sure.
Yeah, when you look at that too, and you talk about songs that are going platinum or going gold out there, or that Billboard 200, and you guys are working your music up through the charts and the ranks, and you see these albums climb. You've had number one song on iTunes and things like that. You go back and you take that. You never take it for granted because you never know what's going to come out the next day. You're always trying to put the newest stuff out there and connect with the audience. But just talk about that recognition, Doc, and kind of what that means for the group too. Like you said, not to just have the cover, but to see these things climb the charts and get into the Billboard status. It has to be just astonishing.
I mean, I'll be honest, it's cool. It's a great accomplishment. But I think that's more about external kind of, I don't want to say showing off is the right word, but it's more about it's something that people respect. And when they see that you're doing those things, they go, hey man, you get a lot of respect from your peers. You get a lot of respect from the people who've seen you come up through the years. But that's not really the thing that motivates me is getting a plaque or something. What motivates me is just making great music, being a great live band, connecting with the fans, making something that I believe in, because I think you can make something that's incredible that you didn't get a plaque for, but you still believe in it and it's still part of you. I don't think that's a great motivator, but it's a nice kind of additive, and it's certainly a validator of some sort, but it's not something you can hang your hat on because it's temporary. Okay, you achieve something, great. Now you move on to the next thing. That's how I always do it. You can't really get hung up on these accomplishments because, that's not, at the end of the day, that's one thing, and then there's the next challenge right in front of you. And you got to make the next great song, and do the next great tour, play the next great show.
No doubt, too. That's what it's all about, too, is continue to put out great music, which this album is doing right now, too. I love it a lot. Hey, back to the Disobey album, Doc, before I take my first break here. Got to talk about one of my favorite songs out there. Tells a great story for a lot of fans out there. Remember When? How did this get started? What was the little backstory of that one?
I mean, it's really a story about, our old singer Tommy and his growing up and some difficult things he went through. It's to be honest, I feel remiss even really telling the story because it's not mine, and I feel like that's for him to really expound upon. To be honest, he's not in the band anymore. We don't play that song live because it's so personal to him. So I don't think that would be appropriate for me to really tell that story.
Yeah, and I tell you what, y'all, no signs of slowing down when you look back at an album like Nation. I mean, this thing wonders for you guys, putting out some great songs on there. One of my favorites out there, Killing Me Slowly, and then of course Sober were two of the ones I highlighted on there too. But there were so many great songs that told great stories. Hit on the one there, the one I'm interested in is Killing Me Slowly.
Yeah, I mean that's a song we worked on with a guy named Drew Falk, and we first heard it, we knew there was something special there. The label decided to make it the first single, and it blew up pretty quick. I think that one went gold as well. I just heard, and it's a staple in the live set. We play it pretty early on because it has a lot of energy. It's a song that people connect with really well. It's a really fun song to play. So yeah, I mean that's another one of those songs that it just blew up. It has something like 60 million streams, something like that on Spotify or something. So it's a really big song for the band, but definitely a fun one.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We'll take a quick time out here more with Doc Coyle of the group Bad Wolves here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com, and also out there syndicated at hightidecountry.net, and also KKTC in Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado, True Country 99.9, and KXXY too as well. More with Doc Coyle here of Bad Wolves. Quick timeout for our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. Coming right back. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on HighTideCountry.net, also KKTC 99.9 True Country, and of course out there KXXY in Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado. It is the Backstage Pass powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And don't worry, coming up here in a little bit, we'll ask Doc and Rapid Fire if they actually watch a little bit of NFL sports and college stuff like that too as well, their favorite teams, if they watch it all coming up in our segment. Rapid Fire here too as well, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our friends at Honky Tonk Texas out there too. Hey, y'all really did well even going into 2021, Doc, and Bad Wolves continues to go strong with this music. I loved everything about Dear Monsters, the deluxe edition there, which is fantastic. This song, Lifeline, another one that blew up. Tell us all about that one.
It was kind of a Frankenstein of a song. It actually started. No, it's true. It started with this little riff I had going back to Nation, the previous record, and we wrote this song right before the end of the set. We were working on the record, and it didn't end up making the album, so it kind of just hung over. And we were working on the third album. We kind of went back to it, and they kind of reworked it. And I remember I was in the studio, and I was like, man, it kind of like. I'm like, I feel like you guys changed the song too much. I'm like, I feel like you should just get rid of all the old stuff and start with this new stuff. So the stuff that I started the song with was pretty much gone. And now it started, kind of the whole song is based around this one kind of chord progression that was developed. Again, we actually worked on a session with Drew Falk, and everyone was involved in the studio. And so that was my suggestion, hey, just keep kind of going this other direction. And so it was this thing where everyone was contributing and working on it. And I remember, when we were trying to figure out what was going to be the first single, what was going to be the first thing to put out, I think that was the one everyone was really passionate about, because it kind of, it rode that line, between, being catchy and hooky and having the, stuff that we felt like people could kind of connect to on radio, but it had some edge to it. It had some weight to it. It had some heaviness to it. So we kind of wanted to ride that line and do something that was kind of right in the middle, and it ended up working out really well. That song went #1 as well. Did great on streaming. The music video did very well. So, and it's something that's a big staple in the live set to this day. So it's a great one. And DL sounds amazing on it, obviously.
Yeah, DL is something else. I want to talk to you about that too, between your band members and how important that is to have that cohesiveness and just that camaraderie with the band, because you're going to spend some 150, 200 days on the road touring, and not just here in the U.S., but Canada and overseas, and you guys have sold out shows in different continents. Talk about just how important that is for a band to have that type of camaraderie and that cohesiveness.
Well, you got to remember, the other 23 hours, you're not on stage. You're hanging out in the dressing room, you're hanging out on the tour bus, you're, airports and things like that. And so rehearsing together, and we go way back. I've known John for 20 years. I've known DL for 20 years. Kyle I've known since 2009. And AJ, the guitar player, he's pretty new to the band, but we get along great. That's a really important element, because someone can play the parts and do all that stuff, but if the personalities don't blend, if it's not something you can live with and be around and enjoy, that's not going to work out, So I think we're all friends, first and foremost, and enjoy each other. We have fun together, and right now I think the chemistry, on stage is probably the best it's been in a long time, if not ever. And I think that lends itself to everyone getting along better. When you're playing well and you feel like every day you're improving and you're connecting more and there's more energy and you're performing more passionately, and you see the looks on the faces of the people you're performing for, and you feel like they're getting what you're putting out there. And so it's you do a sports show, it's very much like sports, and that team aspect and working together to achieve something that's kind of greater than the sum of its parts. That's something I take really seriously. And also just keeping it positive. These tours are long. We're out here, it's cold, it's You know, you're away from your family, it gets lonely, and you have to stay together. You know, you have to keep it positive. You have to keep people in good spirits. You know, so it's great. You know, and you know, we hang out when we're off tour. You know, we go
Hmm.
out, we get dinner, we have drinks. You know, because that's how it is. That's how it should be. If it's not that way, then it's more of a job.
Hmm. Yeah, not just something where you're having fun and you're making a good living at it too as well. You don't want it to become a job because then it becomes just a little bit frustrating and you're like, am I in this for the right reasons? And it's great. You guys do so many great things. And to get time to spend so much time together and have to work together and know each other's kind of ins and outs on things like that. Let me ask you about growing up as far as your ear, put your ear to your bands, your tunes growing up, that classic rock era or that metal era. Who were you digging? I mean, who was it for you that did it on the radio?
I didn't listen a ton of radio when I first started. For me, it was MTV. I was like a total
Okay.
MTV kid, and so it was you know, early, Metallica and Megadeth and Guns N' Roses. And when I was watching that, it was also a lot of the big grunge bands, Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Alice in Chains. All that stuff had a really big impact on me. But I also grew up. My father was a piano teacher, piano player, and he exposed me to a lot of jazz and classical music and R&B and a lot of classic rock, Hendrix and the Beatles and Zeppelin, the Police, things like that. So I feel like I had a very diverse upbringing in terms of music. So I wasn't seeing things through this one kind of particular lens. We grew up in a college town, Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So there was a lot of culture just in the city. There were museums, there was plays, stuff really tapping into history. That was something that I think was really part of kind of like my educational background and having a good bedrock for things. But
Mhm.
I was an MTV kid, and then I started getting to the hardcore scene and discovering like the heavy stuff. Listen to Headbangers Ball and listen to thrash metal and death metal and hardcore and just everything. And so I kind of got heavier and heavier. And we started a band called God Forbid out of New Jersey.
Mhm.
That was my first band. And toured for 15 years, something like that. Got signed, put out a bunch of records, did everything. And that was the band I did before Bad Wolves.
Talk about this one off the Dear Monsters Deluxe because this is one that a lot of people you think about this, I guess, as you get older too. But you look back at it, and what I'm talking about is if tomorrow never comes, and I'm dealing with the loss of a family member right now, and it's devastated our family and things like that. That I can go back and really put on a song like this and really understand what life is really all about too. And when you guys put that one on Dear Monsters Deluxe, man, y'all really sang and really just put out a hell of a tune on that particular record.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been a common theme, in our band, whether it's that song or there's another song off the record called Middle, which is the
Mhm.
last song, which was really inspired when my mother passed away. And then subsequently I lost my father not too long after that. And even Legends Never Die, I think it, kind of taps into a lot of those same themes. But if Tomorrow Never Comes, I mean, it's a very relevant, I guess you could say it's a cliche in terms of appreciating the moment and taking the time to reach out and spend time with the people you love because you don't know how long you're going to have them or spend time. So those are universal themes, and I think that's something that is always going to be, not just us. That's something that's in songwriting, in art, because that's what makes life valuable. Is the fact that we're not going to be here. That
Mhm.
it is temporary. So that's just something that I think fans resonate with, and I think us as songwriters, something that is something that's always present, especially as you get older, because you're going to experience more loss, and that just becomes a bigger part of your life is the loss.
Wanted to ask you about y'all did a collaboration on the new record, which is Die About It across all the digital platforms. You can also check out badwolvesnation.com for tour dates and upcoming merchandise, things like that too. Definitely want to get that out there. This one with Killboy. Explain that one to people off the record with Die About It too, with the collaboration there with It's You, which featured Killboy too, right?
Yeah, that was a song that I think right away we felt was really special, lyrically and the hook, and we're like that. We thought this could be a really big song, and some friends and some people later were like, oh, maybe this would be cool with a female feature on it, and we threw around a bunch of ideas, and I think the connection with Killboy came through DL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I wasn't really aware of her and her work, and I loved it when I heard it because I think her vocal style is a lot different than a lot of the I think bands that are more in our scene and that we're connected with. She has a more something that would be more present in the alternative world. So it's a lot, it's just a different approach. I just think her performance is incredible, and I've been following her, and she's a really compelling performer, and she has a really cool thing about her. And so right now we're talking about possibly doing a music video or putting the song out as a single. So I'm really kind of like looking forward to like working with her and maybe do some stuff with the music video and kind of let that personality shine. But I think it's a really special song for the band. We're a band that's kind of always had a lot of ballads and love songs and things like that, and it's up there with the best we've ever done, and I'm really hoping it connects the way I think it can connect.
Oh, it does, no doubt, too. We'll take our final timeout, come back, final segment with Doc Coyle of the group Bad Wolves, of course, on tour right now. Catch him at badwolvesnation.com and go download the album Die About It across all the digital platforms. More with Doc here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com, also out there at KXXY and KKTC in Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado, and available at HighTideCountry.net for your syndication purposes. You can find us out there where all podcasts are available for download out there. Final segment coming up with Doc here. Bad Wolves, hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And you can also catch a show out there at KKTC True Country 99.9 in Taos, New Mexico, and KXXY out there at Pueblo, Colorado, 10 Mountain Time at night syndication, and at HighTideCountry.net. Back here with Doc Coyle of the group Bad Wolves. Check them out at badwolvesnation.com if you haven't already, and go get the latest album called Die About It across all the digital platforms. So I want to have fun with you here in this final segment. What's Doc Coyle's favorite music video? This is a little rapid fire, so if it doesn't go rapid, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Doc Coyle's favorite music video that you guys have shot with Bad Wolves?
I mean, I still think Zombie's the best one. I still think there was something magical about that. Working with Wayne Isham, who directed Metallica, Enter Sandman, Motley Crue, and Michael Jackson. He's a true legend. And so they were able to capture something that I think stands the test of time and something that really resonates and connects with people emotionally.
I like that too. All right, Thanksgiving. How cool was it to spend time with the family? Did you get full? Was it one plate or two?
What was that for Thanksgiving?
For Thanksgiving, as far as the food goes, I mean, I had to limit myself to one plate, Doc. I couldn't do two this year because of a little cutback in calories that I'm doing. So for me, it was like get the turkey and the all the good stuff while you can, the cranberry and the dressing and all that kind of stuff and the fixings. But how was Thanksgiving, and did you get full? Did you eat a lot?
Yeah, we were on tour, and so we were in Canada, in Ontario. So we found this restaurant that was essentially doing like Thanksgiving dinners, but it was chicken instead of turkey. But it was actually really, really good. So we got plenty full. I ate that meal, and I was good for the rest of the night. So I definitely did my damage.
I did too, no doubt. One plate was enough this year too as well, no doubt. Favorite stage you guys have gotten to grace, and I'm sure there's others that you guys want to step on, but the I guess for the band, or you speaking in generally for yourself, what's your favorite stage to have stepped on so far?
I was touring with this band Ice Nine Kills all year, and I got to play Red Rocks outside of Denver. And that's it was legendary. Knowing it was legendary going into it, so I had high expectations, and it really blew me away. That was probably the most special kind of just environment I've ever been in, and the band was really on fire that night. The crowd was incredible, and yeah, that was amazing. That's something I'll probably never forget.
we talked about Zombie and what it meant to you guys, and it went viral, and of course, remake of the Cranberries out there, that the '90s hit and everything. But I'm watching these shows now, Doc, as far as like The Voice, and you look at American Idol, because I'm always again scouting for new talent, being the host of a music and a sports show. But looking back at it too, what advice would you give these young artists today who are either solo or in a band? How hard it is to get on top in the industry, no matter what genre of music it is, and then stay on top.
Well, I mean, I think you have to have something that stands out. There's so many people out there, so many people doing something. Obviously, talent is first and foremost. If you can't play, you can't sing, if you don't have an elite kind of talent in that level, it's going to be tough to kind of push through. If you're in a band, songs always win. Like you don't have to be the greatest guitar player, the greatest singer, but if you can write great songs that connect with people, that's going to be something that's going to give you a giant advantage over everyone else. And then I think, as I've kind of got into the industry, I just think, charisma and personality and, being someone that people just like and want to connect to. And you've kind of seen that where a lot of bands out there that break, they have that one member or two members that, really people resonate with. And usually on social media, they have a big following. And that's kind of hard to manufacture. It's just star power. Either you have it or you don't. I think it can be developed, but I've noticed that if you don't have that compelling figure, it is kind of hard to penetrate in today's environment.
When you look back and you talk about how sports and music are so integrated today, how hard an athlete has to train to be at the top of their game, how hard you guys have to train your vocals and, of course, play the instruments to remain on top and stuff like that, to know your sets and, what key you're in and kind of starting the songs, that cohesiveness we talked about. When you look at sports, Doc, I'm a huge college fan myself and have huge aspirations there and I've broadcasted a number of games, high school and college, things like that. When you look at sports and how hard athletes have to train, who are some of your favorite teams at the college or pro level?
Well, I'm from Jersey, so I ended up really basically adopting all the teams my father and his father were into. So basically, I went Giants in football, Yankees baseball, Knicks in basketball, Rangers, and but basketball is my favorite. So I'm Knicks is like that's what I believe. But it's a brutal existence because Knicks haven't won since like 1971. So we're masochists, we enjoy the pain. So, but yeah, like college, I was never like into like one school. I'd watch, March Madness or things like that, or it's so hard. I don't really get people being into college sports. I'm like, it's new people every year. How do you're just rooting for the uniform at that point. So I don't know how people actually keep up with it, but more power to it. No offense.
No doubt, it's hard to. I'm sad to say 2-10 Cardinal fan in the NFL this year too. I just went out and saw him play out there at State Farm Stadium too. But hey, Kyler just came back. So
yeah, there's always hope.
There's always hope for next season too, and you're going to get a stud in a top 10 lottery draft pick coming up in the 2024 NFL draft too. I'll tell you what. Well, hey Doc, I love this album. Best regards to DL too. He's supposed to join us today. Thanks for pinch hitting here on the Backstage Pass. Die About It, the current album out there, the fourth studio album from the great group Bad Wolves. Good luck on the show tonight too as well. And for the fans out there listening in our syndication stations, check out badwolvesnation.com. Best of luck going forward, Doc. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let's do it again.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate all your support. And take care, and hope to see you soon, all right?
You got it, my friend. On the road out there, too. Badwolvesnation.com. And, of course, Die About It is the new album from the great group Bad Wolves out there across all the digital platforms. You can check us out tomorrow and every day, 5 days a week. KKTC, True Country 99.9. KXXY out there in Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado. Also powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com, also at HighTideCountry.net. And presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. Get your drink on at bangtail.com, easyliquor.com. Get the order in and get that holiday drink on the best that you can out there. Always say drink responsibly. And thanks to our friends at Honky Tonk Texas. We'll see you tomorrow on the Backstage Pass. Thanks for listening. See you soon.